What if I told you the fastest growing economy in 2025 isn't China, India, or the US, but South Sudan, a country younger than TikTok, scarred by war, now racing ahead with a jaw-dropping 27% GDP growth? Let's dive into the unexpected rise of global underdogs and why Americans should care. A new star rises on the global map: South Sudan, a nation once torn by civil war, poverty, and displacement, now stepping onto the path of recovery, fueled by oil, stabilized by peace deals, and energized by foreign investment. The world's youngest country is proving that hope is never out of reach. Now to South America, Guyana. Once dependent on sugar and rice, today it's booming with offshore oil discoveries and green energy initiatives. This isn't just economic growth, it's a reinvention of national identity. Libya, a land marked by political chaos and conflict. But beneath the surface, oil exports and reconstruction efforts are breathing life back into the economy. It's a journey that began in pain, but is now heading toward promise. In West Africa, Senegal is harnessing hydropower, tourism, and reform to leap forward. And in the East, Sudan, despite its challenges, is pushing ahead with agricultural reform and energy development. Two nations, one shared vision, progress against the odds. These five countries, once seen as economic underdogs, are now rewriting the rules. Their stories aren't just about GDP growth, they're about resilience, leadership, and the power of natural resources used wisely. This is the underdog surge, where the overlooked rise and the world watches in awe. Not just growth, but the beginning of a new chapter. As economies in Africa and South America rise, the ripple effects are reaching American shores. These regions aren't just distant headlines anymore. They're becoming vital trade partners, resource hubs, and geopolitical players. From lithium in Bolivia to tech startups in Nigeria, U.S. companies are watching closely. Investment is flowing into energy, infrastructure, and digital innovation, opening doors for growth and collaboration. Think of it as a new global map forming, one where trade routes shift, supply chains diversify, and emerging markets redefine the rules. But it's not just about economics. Rising prosperity is reshaping migration patterns. More skilled workers, entrepreneurs, and creative are moving across borders, including to the U.S. And with that comes a cultural wave. Expect to see more Afrobeat in your playlists, South American flavors in your food, and fashion inspired by Accra and Sao Paulo on American streets. The U.S. isn't just watching, it's adapting. These global shifts are redefining opportunity, identity, and influence in ways that matter to every American. They say success is built on resources: oil, hydropower, minerals. But what if that's only part of the story? Across the global south, we're seeing something extraordinary. Countries once dismissed as fragile or failing are now rewriting the rules of growth. Yes, they have natural wealth, but that's not what's driving the transformation. The real fuel? People. Young, restless, and relentlessly creative. In Lagos, Nairobi, Dhaka, millions of under-30s are coding, building, launching, not waiting for permission, not asking for handouts, just doing. Innovation isn't coming from billion-dollar labs. It's bubbling up from street corners, co-working spaces, and late-night WhatsApp threads. These are nations where adversity isn't a headline. It's a lived reality. War, sanctions, floods, droughts, and yet they rise. There's a kind of resilience here that's hard to measure. It's not just economic, it's emotional. It's the kind of growth that comes from rebuilding, from reimagining, from refusing to be defined by crisis. So here's the uncomfortable question. What's our excuse when countries with fewer resources, fewer privileges, and far more obstacles are outpacing us? maybe it's time to rethink what we call advantage. Economic success isn't just about scale. It's about agility, long-term vision, and the ability to adapt. Emerging economies are redefining what progress looks like, often outpacing traditional models in innovation and resilience. Americans can benefit from seeing growth not as a race, but as a dynamic process of reinvention. When we engage with stories from across the world, we begin to understand challenges and triumphs that mirror our own. This empathy fosters collaboration, not competition. It encourages humility, curiosity, and a deeper appreciation for diverse paths to prosperity. The lesson is clear: support global innovation, invest with intention, and recognize that transformation can come from unexpected places. The comeback stories unfolding around the world aren't just inspiring, they're instructive. And they remind us that the future belongs to those who stay open, adaptable, and bold. In 2025, the world's fastest growing economies aren't the ones with the biggest armies or tallest buildings. They're the ones rewriting their stories. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we rewrote ours too.